out there. And so today, Charlie, it's like a very crucial topic, and we are glad to have Emmanuel with us. He is so into blockchain, and so we hope that we have a few people non-tech with us. So we hope that Emmanuel will go very easy on all of us, so that we will see where this goes. And so thanks to all of you for joining in. And then Emmanuel, thanks for accepting the invite to do this. And so you have our attention and you have the floor. Yeah.
All right. So thank you for that, Emmanuel. Let me start. I think before I start the topic, I should probably introduce myself a bit, and then we can see the purpose for which I am able to talk on the blockchain topic. I mean, as expected, I'm an other 2003 years old. I was in our way, and I was a science student. Upon hindsight, I should have probably been a business student. Science is a bit abstract sometimes, so again, it's what it is. In the space of blockchain, I would say I've been in this space since 2016 to date, even though these days I don't actively I'm not actively at the center of blockchain, but over the period, I started off in blockchain in the 2016. Started off as a novice, as everyone would start, got to understand the concept of Bitcoin, which is actually the most popular use case for blockchain technology. Somewhere early 2017, I met a gentleman online who is basically a big co-founder for a blockchain, or other crypto project listing platform called uir-hicm-hgu. So ICO is basically in the blockchain technology space, means initial coin offering. Excuse me. So initial coin offering basically is what we call an ICO in mainstream economies, which is the initial public offering where companies want to raise funds, right? But with ICOs, the ability or the opportunity for blockchain startups or enterprises or projects to raise funds from the crypto community. Sometimes it's not just ideas, sometimes it's people with just a prototype or just an MVP. When you say an MVP in the tech world, you need minimal viable product, that is the minimum of product you can work that can be used to test proof of concept. So basically what we did on ICO was giving exposure to new projects around the globe for people who are interested in blockchain technology and these projects across the globe to put money, more like a crowdfunding sort of thing, to put money into this project so that they could fly and start, operating. So we basically, it's not to brag, but we are one of the leading ICO listing platforms in the world from what we did. That was back in 2017, 2018, and some part of 2019, when the ICO space was very vibrant before we had the large market crash, and then people began to run away from crypto and also run away from ICO, because at the end of the day, it's a domino effect, right? So people get more interested in crypto when the prices are going up, and it's referral activities like the blockchain and other projects that come off the blockchain. But then again, we are beginning to see new projects in the space because crypto prices is rising and everybody wants to be in crypto. It's a cycle. It's more, sometimes you don't call something a vicious cycle. And maybe by this time next year, people will run in from blockchain when the price crash, and then they'll start to shout Bitcoin is dead and blah blah blah. But this topic is beyond crypto. We are talking about blockchain technology, governance, crypto, and other aspects. We run ICO watches actively for about 2.5 years. But when the market crashed, the interest in ICO is due to an extent, so we're not as active as we used to be. Sorry for the cold. I have a bit of cold. So I subsequently joined. I didn't leave ICO worklist totally, but I sort of also joined the Silicon Valley-based blockchain project called Darko. worked with them for a little, almost about 6 months. I am continuing development for the African continent. So basically, they are also like a blockchain that allows the development of decentralized applications on their blockchain for different use cases such as governance, finance, logistics, identity. One of the key projects I remember we did back in the days was working with the security writers in New York to help people were having challenges, that is, renters were having challenges moving from homes to be able to move seamlessly across homes without having to lose or wait for their deposits. It's a collaboration between I think the municipal authorities of the city of Syracuse in New York and the VITS project. We also did some initial talks with the government of Tanzania, South Africa, and also the ECHO. When the ECHO was trying to discuss the ECHO, we tried to discuss the digital currency aspect of the ECHO, and also we began to talk with the ideas of central bank digital currencies for Tanzania and South Africa, who were now trying to pilot the project off with the sandbox to see how that could work. But in recent times, but the truth of the matter is that I'm not really a technical blockchain person. I'm not a typical techie blockchain person. I'm more of a marketer. So my techie side is more of the marketing aspect of it. I sort of developed an interest in blockchain and was doing more blockchain marketing. So as I say, I was co-founder, excuse me, I was co-founder in BP for marketing, whilst my co-founder was more of a techie guy, more of the one working the technical stuff. As I say, what excuse me, man. As I say, what we do, we've attended blockchain projects across the globe. We're trying to raise money, and combined with other efforts that they made and other platforms as well. I think we projects that listed on our platform relatively over the 2.5 years with I think over 15 billion USD. But that would not, I wouldn't put that totality to our effort at IC was this. I believe it's a combination of various factors, of which we also a contributing factor in helping them realize this. And luckily, some of these projects are still in existence today. That gives a form of support to the efforts we put into place and to see that some of these projects keep working and providing their objectives. Currently, I'm more into general tech marketing. At the moment, I lead digital marketing for Cycling, which is an AI-based transportation service provider here in Paris. And so that's basically what I do. But despite the fact that I'm not actively in the blockchain space, I always keep an eye on blockchain. I mean, it's a part of me. I can never do without it. Every morning, every afternoon, I always do what it is. So I wouldn't approach this from a techie point of view. I would try as much as possible to make it understandable for anybody who is not techie, so that it can be understood as much as possible. I do not code or write codes on blockchain, but at least I understand the concept and the technicalities of it. So I'll try my best to make it simple for everybody who is on here. So basically, what I'm trying to do today is blockchain 101, the basics of blockchain. So let me get down to it. Basically, blockchain technology, in other words, is called distributed ledger technology, which means that there's no central server or a central storage system. Thus, everybody who is hooked onto the blockchain or trying to access a blockchain platform becomes a storage system or a part of the entire ecosystem. Thus, the distribution of data. Therefore, the word distributed ledger technology. So, blockchain basically is a ledger of information, but it's a ledger of data. So, even the cryptocurrency that people send on the blockchain is data being sent across, and this information is on everybody's device, be it a mobile phone or a computer or something, that is distributed across for everybody to verify what is really going on. So how does blockchain technology actually work? So there are three factors that come into blockchain technology for it to work. You have the private key, cryptographic component. We have the peer-to-peer, which is a P2P network, and distributed network. you have the blockchain of the program on which it is working. Now, what is a private? A private key gives a sense of digital identity for the owner of the data, right? So let me take the in as much as I'm trying to, as much as possible, to move away from cryptocurrency. I believe that will be the easiest way to easiest use case to explain it for everybody to understand. So let's say, for instance, you have a crypto wallet or a Bitcoin wallet. There are components of that wallet that make the wallet your own, right? So you have a private key, which is known to just you. And that what gives you the right to the cryptocurrency in that wallet. That gives you access to that wallet. You need to move coins from that wallet to someone else, right? And that also gives you access to coins in that wallet you need to spend. And then you have the public key. That is your wallet address that everybody can know. Like, so the difference between you and somebody else who has your public key, which is your wallet address, is that you can all view what activity is happening in that wallet on the public blockchain, but you are the only one who has access to those points through your private key. Right? So the public key is the public wallet address, and the private key is the code that you personally have access to. So both the public and the private key are alphanumeric long codes. And these are all run in cryptography. But that it is the security for the blockchain. Now the P2P network is the peer-to-peer network that does eliminating the need for third-party intervention. That's why in cryptocurrency or on the blockchain, you are able to send money directly from one party to another without the need of a third party. So I can send money to somebody else. Maybe it takes the same amount of time to ceteris paribus, all things being involved, without there being a slow network or anything. For me to send money from my Bitcoin wallet to another person's Bitcoin wallet in, say, Iceland or maybe in South Africa, it takes me the same time to also send Bitcoin from my wallet to somebody sitting right by me. The same time it will take, be 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or 30 minutes. This is because there's no bank, there's no MTN mobile money in between. It's direct, it's peer-to-peer, right? And when that is done, it goes onto a distributed network so that it becomes broadcasted for everybody to know that this transaction has happened between party A and party B. Cryptography in this sense means that the identity is cryptic. You might see the transaction between one party and another, but you can't tell specifically that it is me, Emmanuel, who sent this money to somebody. But you can see on a public ledger, right? But you cannot tell who owns this alphanumeric wallet unless you know that it is my wallet. So that's what it is. And then the blockchain, so the program or the blockchain protocol. So that transaction could have happened on the Bitcoin blockchain, on the Ethereum blockchain, on the Tron blockchain, on the Dogecoin blockchain, and on and on. So that is for this. I'm basically speaking to public blockchain because if you want to go into blockchain itself, there are different topics. I mean, you have the public, you have the private blockchain, you have the hybrid blockchain, we have the consortium blockchain, and all of this. So this conversation is practically totally based on public blockchain like the Bitcoin, the Ethereum, the Dogecoin, the Litecoin, the Tron, and what have you, right? And at the moment, I think for public blockchains, we have almost 1,000 of those, but it's the most popular ones that we know, especially those being used for cryptocurrency transactions. Now, mind you, blockchain technology has more use cases beyond cryptocurrency, right? But the most popular use cases is cryptocurrency and fintech because people love money. But there are more use cases for it. So now, let's say, for instance, how does a blockchain transaction happen? Now, this goes beyond cryptocurrency. What is it? Let me say. This could be just data, right? This could be just identity information. But for the sake of easy understanding, let's stick to the cryptocurrency aspect of things. So now, for a cryptocurrency transaction to happen, or for any blockchain transaction to happen, that is the movement of data from one source to another in a cryptic way, in a secure cryptic way. This is what happens. So, for instance, person A creates a transaction which is a combination of my public key, that is my crypto wallet or my Bitcoin wallet, depending on cryptocurrency, using Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, in combination with my private key, which I have access to. I can authorize the transaction, initiate the transaction. I cannot authorize, I can initiate the transaction because I have access to the private key, right? And then the public key. And then I'm sending this particular, let's say 1 Bitcoin to a friend. Now I must have information on the friend's public key, that is the person's wallet, which is the person B's public key. Now this then combines, for the transaction to happen, it combines the person's public key and the person's private key, which I don't have access to, but the person receiving the coin has access to. And then a transaction is created in the form of a digital signature or a transaction hash, right? So that's what happens basically for money to be sent. So it's a combination of digital information from me and digital information from the receiver to create a transaction hash. So basically, what does cryptographic keys do? It gives a concept of digital identity for the owner, initial owner of the coin, who owns this key and has the only access to this key. The best any third party can do is to just view what is in this wallet and what is being sent. So that's why it's called a public blockchain. So everybody with access to the network or protocol can see. Let's say you want to check a Bitcoin transaction and you have the transaction ID or the hash. You can just go on, let's say, for instance, blockexplorer.io. Look in the transaction ID. You can see the money moving from this wallet to another wallet. You can see that, okay, you might not know who owns each of the wallets, but you can see the transaction actually happen. So that is why people call it a trustless system, that it is transparent for everybody to see. You might not have access, but you can see what's happening. You can see the movement of money. Right? So the transaction hash is created, and then the person who receives the Bitcoin has access to that in his wallet, and the reason why the person has access to it is able to move it subsequently or spend it because of the private key the person has. So a transaction hash is created based off a list of information. That is the sender's private key and public key, the receiver's private key and public key, the amount sent, the time of, so the amount sent can be the description in there, and then the time that the transaction took place. Depending on the blockchain you are on, which the blockchain protocol on which the transaction is taking place, the time spent to actually create a block of transactions is dependent on the protocol, on the Bitcoin, on the blockchain protocol you are using. So for Bitcoin, for instance, it requires about 3 certifications, which happen between a space of 10 to 30 minutes, depending on how slow or fast the network is. Ethereum requires about 20, between 12 and 20, and surprisingly, even though it requires more, it is faster than Bitcoin, right? So basically, this is the information that creates a block. So to create a block, that's where the miners come in, whereby transactions are mined or hashed into a block, right? So to create a block is a combination of various complex mathematical equations and coding, which I have no idea about. I'm just a tech marketer, right? But I understand that this is the concept of it. So the private keys of both the private and public keys of both the sender and the receiver, the time of transaction, the amount being sent, is a block or a hash or a transaction ID, and then the miners mine to confirm this transaction, right? And then this is made known on the public protocol or the public distributed network. So when this transaction happens, it is distributed on the public ledger, right, for everybody to have a copy of this transaction. That is why we say it is immutable. It cannot be altered. So modern day blockchain transactions cannot be altered, deleted, or forged, because it goes into a distributed network as soon as the transaction happens and confirmations begin to happen by the miners. So when I send 1 Bitcoin to a friend B, everybody with an access to any form of wallet. You might be using Coinomi, you might be using Binance or the exchange, you might be using Coin Swap or whatever they call Uniswap, you might be using even the blockchain wallet itself. Everybody has access to this information so that nobody can forge. My friend cannot say, oh, you didn't send me 1 Bitcoin, you sent me 0.5 Bitcoin. Everybody in the world has access to this transaction as soon as it begins to get validated by miners. Right? So it cannot be altered, cleaned, deleted. There's a copy for everybody globally. So, and then transactions, every transaction block begins to add on to the previous one, to the one ahead of it, thereby creating a block of chain, whereby a chain of blocks basically. So they begin to join together, and then the more transactions join together on a chain of blocks, the higher the security provided for subsequent transactions. That's creating a situation whereby the hackability of a blockchain begins to reduce. So in effect, people will tell you that the blockchain, that is a proper blockchain, can never be hacked. Your wallet, your private wallet might be hacked because someone has access to your private key or your password. But the blockchain itself, Bitcoin blockchain itself, it's practically impossible to hack it. To hack it will require a lot of energy, a lot of investment that might not be worth it. You might be better off just mining, becoming a blockchain miner, than trying to hack the Bitcoin blockchain. Thus, incentivizing miners, right? So, your miner more or less becomes like an accountant or a guy who confirms that a transaction happened, and then they get rewarded for it through the extra blocks they make on each transaction they verify, right? So that's basically the motivation for public blockchains to be centralized. I hope I'm not getting too technical. I hope it's simple enough for everybody to understand. So these are basically the principles of what blockchain technology is about. Now we should come to the use cases of blockchain technology. So, as I said, the most popular use case of blockchain technology is financial services in the form of cryptocurrency, whereby people want to send money between each other and people want to buy Bitcoin. Okay. Now, I would like to point that initially, when Bitcoin was made, it was created in 2008 as an alternative to the then financial system that got crashed because of the mortgage loan, especially that started in the US and then the use of financial crisis. Right? So it wasn't necessarily meant to be an investment. It wasn't meant to be an investment vehicle. It was meant to be a transactional vehicle, such that there was no central authority that had access or control over it. Like there was no central bank that could just wake up one morning and decide to print so much dollars and then create inflation and reduce the value of the fiduciary currency you are holding. So basically, what was meant to run Bitcoin, that's why it has a final supply of 21 million, is the economic concept of demand and supply. So the higher the demand, and with the final supply, the higher the price, right? So in a way, made it immune to inflation. But so any price appreciation you see is based on demand and supply and not based on inflation, because it's been made to be finite, unlike central bank currency that can be printed to any amount without there being a finite requirement as to how many CDs or how many dollars can be printed. Thus, effectively could reduce your purchasing power no matter how rich you are. But if you own a scarce resource like Bitcoin, despite the price fluctuations over the years, you know that in the long run, you see an appreciation of the digital currency you are holding. So that is what the investment angle counts. It's I would say it's an after effect of the initial objective of the currency, right? So that is that. Blockchain can also help cross-border payments. It's been known that compared to banking transactions, cryptocurrency transactions for cross-border payments is practically negligible, the fees you have to pay, compared to what the Western Union or SWIFT will charge you for transfer, right? In an ideal situation where there's not much traffic on the blockchain protocol there even at that point in time. Even there are some blockchains that do not charge you any fees for cross-border payments. This, for instance, why I went was one. I think there's Leo and a few other ones that practically you can spend money for free without any charge. Right, so that's one. I mean, you could also run other capital markets on the blockchain, whereby you can tokenize securities on the blockchain. And this is something that some countries have successfully piloted. I know the likes of Michelle and a few others that have piloted it. And this was a conversation we sort of opening up one of our this with Mauritius, the Mauritian Stock Exchange. We didn't go far with that kind of conversation, but something we started actually. Also, governance and public administration can go run on the blockchain. Take for instance, land administrative issues. In Accra, for instance, there's a lot of land litigation because of the lack of transparency in land records, right? So imagine a situation where all land titles and all land data was on the public blockchain. Everybody could see that this person bought this land at this year and has a title to it. That nobody can later go to the land commission and connive with an unscrupulous person or an unscrupulous official at the land commission to change data. Everybody knows that this land belongs to this person. So when I'm going to buy a land, I can look up this on the public ledger. I know, okay, is this available or not? Is this person trying to swindle me? Or who owns this land? So I know who the right person to go to. And then it cannot be altered by a central server because the data is not based at a central place. It is distributed among everybody who has access to the protocol. Right? And the same thing can be said with governance. Public administration, public finance can be run on the blockchain. Taxation, for instance. People can know, okay, my tax is being received, this is how much was received, this is what it's being spent on. For the Ministry of Finance is using the money for, provided there's a legislation in place to make sure that every single transaction that happens is entered in a record that goes straight to a public blockchain for the ordinary citizen to look at, thereby taking away the need for the right information bill that might be in the constitution, but to even get access to it is another story altogether, right? So for sincere governments across the world, they are now gradually moving aspects of governance onto the blockchain that becomes readily accessible to the taxpayer. But at the end of the day, public administrators are supposed to serve the public, thus make information on governance transparent enough for the ordinary taxpayer. And one way to do this that has been proven is using blockchain technology because it gives access to public data seamlessly, easily, and it cannot be adulterated, deleted, or forged. Because once one person has the data somewhere else, no matter how you try to change, you cannot even change because each block is already hashed. So to be able to get to your particular block entity, you have to remove all of those blocks that come subsequently after it. And how would you do that? Right? So that's another thing. Voting, even though this still remains a funny issue, can be run at the blockchain. This is in combination with digital and personal identity. The sense that, if for instance, if death and birth registration was put on the blockchain, as soon as a child is born, the name of the child, the date of birth and everything is put on the blockchain, everybody can easily see that, okay, this child is by 18 years eligible to vote, that we can cross-check this through the voter register on the blockchain. Okay, are you qualified to vote? When were you born? It is all on the blockchain. It cannot be changed. You've gone to the polling center to vote. This way, you begin to reduce incidents of voter fraud and deaf people going to vote because both deaf and birth and deaf is registered on the blockchain. You know those who died, you know those who were born, you know when they were born, you know when they are of age, right? And all of this will become publicly available and easily accessible to the ordinary person. And there's no central control of this data. It's distributed, it's decentralized for everybody to see, for everybody to have access to. So everybody has access to the public key, which is maybe like a public ledger for everybody to see. And then maybe the private key will be held by a few trusted people who put in the data. Because at the end of the day, even when you have the private keys to a system and a blockchain, the best you can do is put in data or transfer data. You cannot have that. You cannot delete or try to modify the data subsequently. Maybe at the point of entry, you might have even then, it will be difficult because it will be known that at the point of entry, this is the false data. So That's another use case for blockchain. It can be used in a wider array of um, applications like in the entertainment or media industry. Um, Take for instance, people could decide to, for instance, at the moment, one of the things that content creators care about on YouTube is that they are being cheated and they don't know that there's no transparency in the ad revenue they get. There have been alternative decentralized applications that have been built to rival the likes of YouTube and Facebook and all of those things. The likes of YouTube is a blockchain-based YouTube that people can post their story. There's no central controller, there's no Google controlling anything. So somebody uploads this or an ad and then it's not on your video. You know how much the person paid to run that ad on the protocol, and then you know how much you're getting and how much is going to the public tools on YouTube for public governance and administration of the protocol. Right? So everything becomes transparent. And there's nobody manipulating and giving you how much you are getting at the end of the month. It is well timed. As soon as this ad runs on your video, on your content, you get paid in the corresponding cryptocurrency. Right? So this is another way it can be used in the media and entertainment field. The same way with intellectual property. So take for instance, once I create a content, I put it on a blockchain-based media application. It is stamped as my name, it has my stamp, the date I made it and everything. Somebody cannot copy it and go put it somewhere like on Facebook. Now, imagine there are people who make content on YouTube and then somebody downloaded it and put it on Facebook and monetized it. This does not happen in the case of a blockchain or decentralized based system. I mean, once your timestamp and everything is on it, you have access to the privacy of that. So the best the person can do is viewing rights. The person has no other rights to that content, right? So thereby protecting intellectual property. The same thing goes with supply chain. So you could tell the source or production source of a product, or maybe let's say a food supply or pharmaceutical supply. You can tell that this is when it was produced, this is the country it was produced, this is when it began to move from factory to maybe a distributor or a warehouse or to market. So you're able to tell that this and this ingredients was used to make this drug and see how safe it is. So all of this in itself inadvertently is data. So and then it can be put on the public chain for everybody to see for the purposes of transparency and all of those. And there are so many other use cases of blockchain technology, but I mean, if you begin to talk about it, we will not finish. Like, and I'm beginning to feel like, wow, I've gone way past my allocated time. So I think I have to stop here and then we can take questions from whoever is going to ask questions.
Wow. Thanks a lot. I mean, we are happy you did this. We realize that you are not feeling too well, but I mean, the passion for the blockchain made you do this, and we appreciate this.